All right, how many times have you watched The Suicide Squad? Be honest with me. Is it just once? Well, even if it is, you can still watch this video. What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to the channel. It's a very different kind of video. We're laid back, we're less professional, and we're just going to talk about this movie, all of the spoilers that it entails, and the madness of this film, and what makes it stand out as one of the best films of the year for me. And of course, we're going to talk about that ending at the end, what that post-credit scene means. Also, this is the first spoiler talk I've done maybe ever. If you guys want more of this for big blockbuster films, be sure to drop your thumbs up down below. But as of right now, let's just get into what works about this film. And the main thing for me, obviously the madness of James Gunn, but now that we can talk spoilers, it's more so the decision-making and just the fact that he goes for it. I mean, the first squadron, and you know, I saw the trailers, and I expected Savant, TDK, and Javelin, and some actors that are notable actors like Pete Davidson, but I'm sitting here thinking, nah, he's probably not going to survive this movie. But then you have other characters in this opening scene, like a Captain Boomerang that bites the dust so fast, so I'm sitting back going, oh, they're really going for it, aren't they? And they're making decisions here that I just didn't expect. And the first trailer said, my brother pointed this out because I watched it again just in preparation for this. He said, from the beautiful, the beautiful, crazy mind of James Gunn. And I'm like, yeah, man, this is definitely from the mind of James Gunn, because he's making decisions here that you just don't see coming. Again, some that you do, but mixed with others that you don't. And you know, just the decision of making Weasel die, and at the end of the movie, Weasel's still alive. Like, out of all of them, it's Weasel. And that's the funniest thing. And speaking of funny, Weasel as a character, just the movements and the noises and their discussion at the beginning of the film. And when they first board that helicopter plane, whatever it's called, and what we're getting between those characters, I'm like, yes, this is the kind of banter that I want. This is the James Gunn that I want to see. The Gunn-isms, if you will. And we're getting all of that, right? But beyond that, we start getting the violence. Heads are being sliced off. People are being blown up, decapitated. The madness. And Flula Borg, like these actors, you know, Pete Davidson's head exploding. That was spectacular. And I just thought it was so expertly crafted and handled. So that's team number one, right? But you have on the other side of this island, team number two. And in the background, Amanda Waller, who's like controlling the entire thing, like straight out of the comic books, what you want Amanda Waller to do. And I love Viola Davis in the first movie. I love a lot of things about that first movie. It just doesn't come together as a whole, right? Well, we join that other team, and these are the characters that we're going to stick with for a while, right? And the main one here is Bloodsport. Bloodsport, played by Idris Elba, is oh so good, but you also have John Cena's Peacemaker and Rick Flag, who meets up with him a little bit later on. He's from the first group, but they all come together to create this, this fascinating, random, weird team dynamic that doesn't feel as natural as maybe you expect, but it works, right? Because of the competitive nature of Bloodsport and Peacemaker, because of, you know, Harley Quinn when she comes in, the madness that she brings to the team. Now, she doesn't get a lot of time with the team, but when she inevitably joins that team, she adds so much. Ratcatcher 2 is the character for me, and Ratcatcher 1, played by Taika Waititi, but Ratcatcher 2 is almost the heart and soul of this movie. I mean, yes, you have Bloodsport's relationship with his daughter, but what she's able to bring in a character that is so relatable because she's always tired. And I'm like, yeah, it's me. And my wife said it. She's like, yeah, it's me. And we all said it. We agreed that she's so relatable, but you love her and you want to root for her. And I felt like Bloodsport. I'm like, yeah, I would save you because you're the nicest of everyone, clearly. And then beyond those characters, kind of the main players, Polka Dot Man, David Dastmalchian, who gets the most noble death. You know, he's finally a superhero. I love the little, you know, added backstory of his mother, and every time he sees someone that he's fighting or befriending, it's his mother. And the big starfish at the end, when he's fighting his mother, was fantastic. We'll talk about Starro here in just a second. King Shark, Sylvester Stallone. That's a character that you don't know what to expect because King Shark has been handled so many different ways in the comics. This is the definitive version of King Shark. And everything about the mannerisms and the movements, I can't think of the actor's name who actually plays King Shark, like walking around as King Shark, but Stallone's voice works so well. And I was just praying, like, please don't die, King Shark, please don't die. And thank God he didn't. But that's, kind of what this movie brings us is the whole time you're sitting back thinking, okay, this person could die and that person. Then you think someone's safe, like Polka Dot Man. Nope, not safe. You think someone's dead, like John Cena's Peacemaker. Well, if you stayed towards the post-credit scene, or for the post-credit scene, then you know something that we already knew, because I was thinking, why are they going to kill Peacemaker off if he has a TV show? Of course, he's still alive. And I kind of saw that coming, but they still got me, right? And I love the discussion that inevitably carries back over. It's like, no, my bullet's smaller. Clearly, I'm going to beat you in a fight. Then you get that moment, and it ends up being Bloodsport's bullet. It's just a bit smaller. So that was awesome. A crazy twist and turn of events. And of course, Amanda Waller, again, forcing all of these people to do this, right? She had one person planted, which ended up being Peacemaker, to keep this information, this data from getting out to the world. And he has to turn on his team, a team that he spent a lot of time, well, not a lot of time, but enough time with to not want to do this. But man, he was going to do it, and he convinces himself. And I love that line that he tells himself when he's about to take out Ratcatcher 2. I'm like, yeah, I believe this. And kudos to John Cena for delivering a really good performance. Kudos to everybody. We knew everyone else would be really good, but John Cena specifically did more than I expected him to do. Now, talking about the action, I love, again, the competitive nature of Bloodsport and Peacemaker, but when they're going through who ends up being a team of good characters that we see less of later on, I thought that was absolutely hilarious. An added twist to this team just taking people out left and right. They think they're the bad guys. Ends up being some good guys, and they're like, oh, oops, we didn't mean to do all of that. Really cool stuff prior, but it's one of the coolest action scenes of the entire year. And then you get the full-on crazy action with Starro, a comic book character that I never, ever, ever thought I would see on the big screen. You guys remember, I believe it was Superman the Animated Series, but maybe brought back in the Justice League. I can't remember in its entirety, but Starro was a main player and has always been a main player in the comic books, controlling people as this galactic being, if you will, is integral to this character. And James Gunn kept all of that, right? He allowed the Thinker, who I wanted a bit more from. I thought Peter Capaldi did a phenomenal job, but the Thinker, is the person responsible for Starro's presence. And Starro isn't the only comic book inclusion, right? Obviously, all of these D-list characters, D-tier characters, if you will, but they also mention A-Star Labs. They mention Bloodsport, shooting Superman with a kryptonite bullet. Guys, that's really cool. So a lot of comic booky things. But then Amanda Waller overseeing this entire operation, but hiding the fact that the U.S. government is responsible for what happened with Starro. And Starro, as little screen time as Starro actually gets, you actually kind of feel sorry for Starro, because it's like, I just wanted to float around in space. I was enjoying myself till you guys came along and took pictures with me. But that battle was great, and I was on edge the entire time. Yeah, I've seen some complaints. It's like, yeah, the third act gets really weird. I mean, this is like full-on comic book madness, and the fact that he took so many different elements, and you see the team, and they've completed their mission. It's like, don't go save the city. You're bad guys, she says in the first movie. That's what we do. Don't go save the city. But inevitably, they make the decision to go against Amanda Waller, who is about to detonate the bombs in the heads. And because the movie's so unexpected, I'm sitting here thinking, is she about to kill this entire team right in front of our eyes? I don't know if I would have liked that decision, but part of me thought maybe we could get it. But no, we get the entire time, the team around her is like, okay, you're really going to do this? You're really going to kill this kid? So James Gunn, he adds in these little nuggets of, slowly but surely starting to turn against Amanda Waller, and then they just knock her out entirely. And I'm thinking when she wakes up and she makes that little deal with Bloodsport, I'm thinking, no, she's going to kill every one of them. But no, it turns out that she sends a couple of them after Peacemaker, and we need Peacemaker, and this is what we get in the post-credit scene, to come help us save the world. And he's going to do whatever he's called to do, and he proved that because he almost took out Ratcatcher 2 and did take out Rick Flag. We lost Rick Flag. So of the people that carried over into this movie, Boomerang, he died immediately. Sorry, dude, Jai Courtney. I really liked your character in the first movie, but no one is safe. Don't get too attached. And then we lost Rick Flag. And that was kind of a bummer for me because I was really starting to come around on Joel Kinnaman's character. But unfortunately, he got a lot of screen time, which was great. Obviously, we're not going to lose Harley, even though at a point I'm like, anything's going to happen. We could lose Harley. I didn't actually think we would, but she was safe. And then, Waller, who is just like the best. I remember this character in the Justice League animated series, and her confrontations with Batman were some of the best in that show. And this is like the most comic book accurate, animated series accurate version I could have ever imagined from Amanda Waller, and she's so good. And it's like, yeah, James Gunn, he wanted to bring the madness and the craziness to the screen, but he's also really honing in on the roots of these characters, what makes them great. Now, my one criticism that I mentioned in my spoiler-free review was that moment with Harley Quinn, when she, goes off and she's kind of taken and they put makeup on her. She's like, okay, where are we going? And this man is obsessed with her, so he kind of brings her in to be his bride, if you will. And then he kind of starts to reveal his plan just a little bit, and she's like, no, I've told myself, not going to do this before, not allowing it to happen. She does kind of reference Birds of Prey just a little bit there. My wife was asking me, does this take place after Birds of Prey? And that's a clear yes because of that moment and what she says. So she takes the guy out, and they take her captive. They don't kill her because they need to get answers from her because they know that there are more Suicide Squad members roaming around. But that moment, I feel like it could have been trimmed down just a bit because we have this rampant action happening, right? And things are flying at us like a mile a minute. It's not too much because I was really enjoying it. But then we slow down. And it's a bit of a give and take, right? Love the fact that we get time with Harley Quinn. Don't love the fact that it takes away from the pacing. And we're kind of like, we're here, this is important, and I can tell this is important, but can we go rejoin the team? And as soon as we rejoin the team, it was great. And then when Harley joins the team, it's even better. So love that she got her moment. Part of me wishes maybe it was something else. And then another issue that I see a lot of people have, but I don't really have a problem with this, and I can confirm that after watching it for a second time, is the, and excuse me while I take a drink, hint water, not a sponsor, but it is delicious. I'm going on vacation tomorrow. I just recorded 4 videos in a row, so my voice hurts. Hello? Hello? The movie's simple. They essentially drop them off at the beginning. Well, 2 teams. We don't know that at first. We just see 1 team, and they complete their mission, except they kind of complete their mission and go off on a different mission in the 3rd act. But overall, that's what this is. And we get the backstory, right? We get Bloodsport's backstory, the connection with his daughter. A little bit of Ratcatcher in there. That's when we get to see Taika Waititi at the end. I thought that was beautiful. Polka Dot Man, how the relationship with his mother transformed him, all of this stuff. So I love the way we flash back. I love by the way, the style of this movie, the integration of different graphics and kind of dividing this movie into different parts. Look, it's the Suicide Squad versus Starro and all of those different things that we would see appear in the sand or the grass. I thought that was really cool, right? And it doesn't overpower or overshadow the actual story like what the first movie did when it was just so in your face and the editing was really choppy. I think the editing is phenomenal here, along with the action, along with the violence, along with the gore. But the movie is very simple because it never really goes beyond the mission. They have to complete the mission. Sometimes they turn against each other. Sometimes they're chopping people's heads off that don't deserve it. Sometimes King Shark wants to eat somebody. He gets really hungry. Nom nom. He needs his nom noms. But the mission itself, and that's why I compared it to Mad Max in the spoiler-free review. I said, They go on a road trip, and then they come back and go on a different road trip, but they're coming to the first place that they started. If you wanted to explain the movie like that, you could, but Mad Max Beyond that is so phenomenal. I mean, it's a powerhouse of a movie. It's a very different film, but you could also explain the Suicide Squad in. They get sent to this island, they go on a mission, and they complete the mission, but then they do something else right after that. That's basically all it is. It's not a complaint for me. It's just something that I notice about the film. But it's all about how well it's crafted, and the beauty in the simplicity and the execution within that is what makes this movie stand out to me. And, you know, you're seeing all of this and the hyperbole, and just the fact that people are saying, oh, it's, you know, the high score and one of the greatest comic book movies ever made. I'm not going to say that just yet. I mean, I gave it a super high score, and I'm sticking by that, especially watching it again. But I'm sticking by that because the movie's just so daggone fun. I mean, it is a blast from start to finish. And even though I'm not going to sit back and say, well, it's the most complex writing I've ever seen in a comic book movie, and it's going to win 5 Oscars at the end of the year, I'm not going to say that because it's not that kind of movie. But the entertainment factor and the fact that James Gunn continued to go for it throughout the film surprised me at almost every turn. And even when he didn't surprise me, he was still somehow surprising me with other decisions. I thought this movie nailed, absolutely nailed what it was going for, taking from the source material, manipulating just a little bit, but not to a degree that takes away from what it was trying to pull from, and just this crazy comic book style that I want to see more from. I want to see more of James Gunn in the DC universe. I can't wait to see Peacemaker, guys. I love this movie. Can you tell I loved this movie? If you guys enjoyed this spoiler talk, the spoiler discussion, something I don't often do, if you'd like to see more, be sure to drop your thumbs up, and I'll be sure to do this for the next big blockbuster that we see or get. But I would love to know your thoughts down below. I appreciate you big time for watching. And if you want to leave your spoiler-filled comments, feel free. This is your place and space to talk about this movie, whether you loved it or hated it, whether you agree or disagree. All right, guys, you're the best. Like I said, I'm going on vacation, so I'll still be making videos, but I will be on the beach. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. All right, guys, see you soon.